Let's, of course, now move into our tips for round 20. Only 5 rounds to go, guys, and the ladder is shaping up. Still don't know who's going to make the finals, but what a round we have coming up. So on Friday night, we start off with Carlton versus Port Adelaide. I've gone Carlton. On Saturday, I've gone Geelong over North Melbourne. Brisbane over the Gold Coast Suns, Essendon over St Kilda, the GWS Giants over Melbourne, Fremantle over West Coast, and on Sunday I've gone Collingwood over Richmond, the Swans over the Western Bulldogs, and then Hawthorn to beat the Crows on the last game of the round. What are you going with this week?
So on Friday night I've went Blues over Port Adelaide. Saturday I've went Geelong over North Melbourne, Brisbane over the Gold Coast, Essendon over St Kilda, Giants over Melbourne, Freo over the Eagles, and on Sunday I've went Collingwood over Richmond, the Bulldogs over the Swans, and the Crows over the Hawks.
So we've gone with 2 different this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start all the way back at Friday night. This isn't a difference, but it is a big game. Carlton up against Port Adelaide. So both these teams going into this game, very interesting positions. Carlton haven't been in the greatest of form. They've lost 2 of their last 3 games, and their win was against North Melbourne last week, which wasn't exactly convincing. Port Adelaide, on the other hand, and down. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows which one's going to show up.
Yeah, exactly. But the one thing Port Adelaide do have is this is at Marvel Stadium, and they have a really good record there. And on another side as well, Carlton, they're definitely going to be missing Tom Nakoning. Could also miss Mackay and Akers. We've both gone Carlton, and basically the only reason why I'm going Carlton here is because I don't trust Port Adelaide one bit. No way. I can't tip them. There's no way. I would actually consider it if it wasn't for their season of being the best of the best at times and absolutely dismal. That's kind of where I'm sitting at right now. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if Port Adelaide go and win this game. I wouldn't be, because I think if Port Adelaide at their best can actually go and beat Carlton here, because Carlton are down a bit at the moment. They won't be playing Tom Nakoning. He's been one of the better ruckmen of the year, probably top 3. So I wouldn't be too surprised if Port Adelaide go and jag this one. I can't trust them. I can't put a tip on it. That's kind of where I'm sitting for in that game. Where are you looking at for Carlton and Port?
So the Carlton game, if Dixon can play like he did last week, kick 4 or 5 goals. But you just don't know which Dixon's going to show up.
Well, that's just like the whole Port Adelaide team, though.
It's like the whole team. Radical Air, Port Adelaide fans are scared of when he gets the ball, because he's so bloody useless with the ball. When he kicks backwards or kicks sideways, you're just afraid he's gonna turn it over. And the fact is that at the moment, Port Adelaide, their defence is just playing too high. They get a lot of goals kicked out of the back.
They conceded, I think, 6 against the Tigers on the weekend.
Port Adelaide, yeah, they've probably got a better record at Marvel, but I just can't trust Port Adelaide at the moment. They're just all over the shop. You just don't know which one's going to show up.
All right, after that, we move to the Swans versus the Bulldogs. This is a game that we have tipped differently. So, looking at it, Bulldogs have been hot against the top teams. Obviously, the last couple of weeks, they beat Carlton and the Cats, but they have had times when they've played woefully, like looking at Port Adelaide a couple of weeks ago as well. So what Bulldogs team's going to show up, I think, is the question mark here. And on the Swans side, the Swans injuries are starting to mount up, and their form the last 4 weeks has been pretty poor. They lost 3 of their past 4 games, and their win was against North Melbourne. Now, I'm going to go why I'm tipping the Swans. I actually think that was the best they've played in the last month, the Swans. And I think they really could have beaten Brisbane if it wasn't for the injuries. And I think over the past month or so, that was the best that Sydney have played. And I think they would have won that game if it wasn't for the injuries. Now, I don't want to put that as an excuse, but I do think Sydney played really well on the weekend. So I think their form is somewhat coming back. I'm actually going to go with them this week. I give them a little bit of chance. I give them a chance here. Depends on which Bulldogs team shows up, though. So if the Bulldogs' best team comes out, I think it could be a massive game. At their best, the Bulldogs, with their pressure and their quick ball movement, I think the Bulldogs will win. But I think if the Swans at their best, at the SCG as well, they've only lost 1 game this year, I give them every chance. So that's why I'm kind of going the Swans here. What do you got the Bulldogs?
I've gone the Bulldogs because I think their defence looks better this year. Their defence looks good with Rolob out the back with Buku Kamas. I don't trust the Swans forward line with the 3 tools, and the fact is that Papley will be out. Hayward, I expect, will play, but Dane Ramsey also being out could be a big thing with the fact is that they've got Norton, Darcy and Uhagen. If they don't win the midfield battle, they're screwed.
Swans will slice through them if that happens.
Yeah, they'll slice through them, and they have performed well against the good sides. So I think they could cause an upset, and if they've got any chance of making the finals, they have to get a scout. Get themselves in the 8.
I think if they get in the 8, I think they're going to be very hard to knock out.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. After that, we get to the other tip that we tip differently. It's the Crows up against Hawthorn. So I've gone Hawthorn basically because if Adelaide didn't win this game, I think Hawthorn would be outright favourites to win this one. I know it's at Adelaide Oval. The Crows haven't been that good there this year. They even lost to Richmond at Adelaide Oval. So they haven't been the greatest there. In Hawthorn, they have been amazing the last 2 months. Amazing. That's one reason why I'm going for them. And two, Hawthorn have played at Adelaide Oval twice this year, and they've lost both games by less than a goal. Hawthorn right now, second best team in the comp. I was going to say first, but Brisbane have been better than them the last month or two. So I'm going to say Hawthorn the second best. Against the Crows, I know it's at Adelaide Oval. That's the only reason why I've even considered tipping the Crows. But also one big thing as well is Jordan Dawson will be out. Captain, their midfield depth is already tested majority of the time with him there. With him not there, I think they're going to struggle. And Hawthorn's midfield's one of their best lines. So Hawthorn get it forward. Ginnivan, Watson, who was good on the weekend as well, Dylan Moore, Connor McDonald, their smalls, get to work. I think they're going to win this one.
A lot of the reason is because of the fact is that it is at home for the Crows. I think Phil Thorpe had a down week. His second week back, his first full game. I think against that defence, he could dominate. I don't know if they'll bring back Taylor Walker. I think they need to bring him back.
Yeah.
So that's a big question mark because I think he's still reliable there. And Fogarty's been pretty good in the last month or so.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a big week for the likes of Saligo, Dowling, whoever's going to be in that midfield to take over Dawson for the week. They've just got to be able to match him. And
if they can match him in the midfield and get it forward, there'll be a chance.
Yeah.
Alright guys, with that being said, that's all our tips for this week. So let's move to our AFL tipping ladder. And it is still on top, Brendan. So Brendan's on top by 6 tips right now. It was 6 last week. He still leads by Paul, but got 7. And the most important part of the tipping last week was the fact that I got 8 out of 9. I was so close to the 9th. If it wasn't for Geelong choking against the Bulldogs, well, not choking, but sucking against the Bulldogs, I would have got a full week this week. So because of that, I've jumped from 6th, I believe, to 3rd. I've jumped all the way to 3rd on the ladder. It's an absolute massive achievement for me. I've just gone soaring through the stars into 3rd spot. Brilliant job from me. I'm still 9 tips off the pace with 5 rounds to go. So I may have to start maybe throwing a couple of roughies out there. But Brandon still leads on top. Where are you sitting? You're sitting in 9th spot. You got 7 last week, so you did okay. You jumped, I think, 1 position.
Yeah, because I lost the Essendon one.
Yeah.
Start of the week as well, which didn't help my margin, but...
Yeah, no, that's true. And another person who got 8 as well was Daniel. Right but down into 11th spot, but did really well to get 8 tips.
I'm pretty sure Daniel, I did check, tipped the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think he tipped the Bulldogs and tipped Essendon, I'm pretty sure. Looking at it, I'll have a quick look. So he tipped the Crows as well. So who did he tip? He tipped the Giants, St Kilda, Hawthorn, Bulldogs, Port Adelaide, Brisbane. I tipped Melbourne. Why did he tip Melbourne? Why would you tip Melbourne? He must have listened to us last week and said that we picked that I picked that as a danger game. Dumb decision. So yeah, looking at it right now, top position is Brendan, still in front by 6 tips with 5 rounds to go. Almost has it locked down. I'd almost give it to him. Yeah. Almost. I'm in 3rd spot, catching. Maybe. I think I'm pretty too far off now. And Brooke is dropped right back down to bottom. She is the only person without 100 tips so far this year. That's pretty disappointing. They're on 99 right now.